Good morning. So, last time we finished off our line drawing function. Today we are going to write a circle drawing function. So, we're going to be picking on Bresenham's circle drawing algorithm. And let's see. A lot of theory here. The main part we care about, there's some C++ code we're going to convert to JavaScript. And usually this is done in two functions, because you have the main circle function where it only calculates 1/8 of the circle, and then this draw circle function basically mirrors that for the all 8 parts of the circle, since it's all symmetrical, which it works fine as long as you're drawing circles. We're gonna have to find another solution for ellipses. But my theory is we can just copy this whole function here and rewrite it to work in JavaScript. Which is, of course, what I did with the line drawing algorithm. So let's see if there's no. Okay. There's no other part 2 of the algorithm waiting down here, so this is the whole thing. Disadvantages: there's a problem with accuracy while generating points. You'll notice that sometimes the circles have like weird edges, but they do draw fast. Not suitable for complex and high graphic images. Well, we're making a low resolution game engine, so that is just fine. Alright, so let's get this converted into JavaScript and then see if we can write a little demo for it. Since we're not using TypeScript, I'm trying to put, not at this point anyway, I'm trying to put some good comments throughout on these functions, so it's a little more obvious what type the parameters are. Funny that JavaScript and TypeScript only have number. They don't have integer versus float, which we saw last time was a bit of a problem for part of the line drawing. Because when we're doing comparisons, like right here, comparing two floating point numbers that are really close together but can never become equal, was giving us some trouble. We'll be a little more careful with that this time. Let's see. I don't think we're going to need a delay there. then same here, don't need the type names. And actually I'm writing my functions like this to try to be consistent. And because we're in JavaScript rather than C++, we can hide this helper function inside of the main function. Which I think is a great feature for this. Alright, so there you go, fixed all the syntax errors. But does it work? You know, I like having spaces in there. It makes me happy. Okay, now we test it. Let me remember what the state of our program is right now. So it looks about like that. So let's draw a green circle right about here. Radius. Actually, we've already calculated the radius for our line. We're going to make the circle go about halfway. And we're going to make it green. Which reminds me, we didn't actually put a color in there. And we don't actually have to pass xc and yc into the draw octants function. It should already be visible. Because JavaScript is special. Anything else? No? Yes, no? Okay, let's see if that worked. Nah, it didn't work right away. There's always something. But pixel is not defined. Well, that's a good one. Because my function is called setPixel. Ta-da! Well, that worked out pretty well. Now, let's make that circle do something. First of all, let's get some of these drawing functions out of the way just a little bit. Moving them back into our library file. What I want to do, I want to see some circles bouncing around the screen. And we're gonna give it sure, that works. A ball that will move around according to whatever the delta x and delta y are. You can draw it, you can update it. Okay. Code Whisperer is being helpful today. Thanks, Code Whisperer. So this will tell it that if it gets to any edge of the screen, to reverse the speed, delta x and delta y, which will make it look like it's bouncing. And I'm going to actually initialize these to undefined. That works. I do want to floor all these values that are related to pixels though, because we are working with integers. And same here. That will keep us out of trouble later. That looks reasonable. Now we can just create a new ball. We don't have to give it any parameters. It'll come up with something reasonable-ish. We don't need that test code anymore. We're going to give it new test code. And then update interval. I want that to be a lot faster. Update, like moving the ball, each ball once per second is not going to be enough. We want to update it 60 times per second. Should just be able to divide that by 60. Now, if I did all that right, we should see one ball moving around the screen. Alright, what'd I miss? Can I read the properties of undefined width at getWidth? Line 18. Oh. We cannot add sprites to this array until after the context is initialized. Alright, then what? Aww. Okay, so there's a problem. It's not telling me what. sure it's actually hitting the render loop. So we're clearing the screen, and it is getting to the end of the loop. Is it creating our collection of balls? We have one ball, some reasonable parameters. The color is not reasonable. Oh, I bet that's our problem. Okay, so it's still not drawing. That color should be visible. All right, let's think a minute. I'm going to replace these parameters with just hard coding some values. So we will need to get the ball to draw something. So we can still draw circles. Oh, okay. That will help. Just like that. See, JavaScript is special. It'll let you make any kind of mistake that you feel like. Okay. One thing I miss about working in C++. C++ wouldn't let you get away with that. So there's a ball. Why isn't it moving? It should be moving. It has a delta X. All right. Log our updates just to make sure it's happening. Okay. Oh. Gotta do that. No, I really thought that would fix it. now it's moving. So that's kind of neat. When it hits the edge of the screen, it kind of wraps around to the other side a little bit. That. Don't need to log that anymore. And decided I actually don't want to floor these values here, because it would be interesting to allow our circles to move with floating point velocities. What we really need to do is make sure our circle has well-behaved values. Like that. Thanks, Code Whisperer. Do our parameter validation in the function. All right. And it should be updating 60 times every second. All right, how many balls can we add? Let's try. That looks reasonable. All right, one more thing while we're still here. Oh, do I want to do this today or not? I'm thinking. So I'm trying to decide if I want to write the code to make these balls bounce off of each other, but we've already been talking for a little over 20 minutes. And when you start having balls bounce off of each other, and if you want that to look realistic, you have to start thinking about their relative velocities, the angle that they're hitting at. And I don't think I want to do that much math today. So I think we're going to cut this off here. Next time, we're going to talk about the flood fill algorithm and implement the code to draw squares and rectangles, ability to fill those in. And then after that, we'll start implementing the code to capture the virtual pixel that the mouse is hovering over. And then we should be able to do some more interesting things with this game engine thingy. So, you know what? Before we go, let's throw 100 balls out there. Let's just stress this thing out. To anyone who will say that JavaScript is not suitable for game development, you can really write anything and anything if you're stubborn. I could probably write a game engine in COBOL. I'm not going to, but it's possible. Let's give it 1,000 balls. It's still doing fine. It's just trucking right along. I could probably increase that number. 10,000 feels unreasonable. Let's do it anyway. Wow, it's still working. I am rendering 10,000 circles 60 times per second. And it looks like the velocity of each circle is still fairly reasonable. Surely 100,000 balls is too much. Okay. Now it's getting choppy. Okay, now I'm wondering where the limit is. How about 50,000? A little better, but not great. Let's try 20,000. I can live with 20,000. You can tell that it's not quite as zippy as before. Nah. We're checking this in with 10,000. If you want to try to stress this program out yourself, you're welcome to pull it down from GitHub, and you can render as many little circles as you want. You can even implement the little bouncing algorithm for me. Let me know if you do that. I'd love to see it. Alright, and that is all for today. See you next time.